Let's talk about some of the highlights from week number 7. And I think one of the major highlights, the first one that needs to be talked about, are some of the replacements that really stepped up big in important spots for their teams in week number 7. You look at Thaddeus Lewis of the Buffalo Bills. E.J. Manuel's out. They almost beat the Bengals last week, and they did end up beating the Dolphins this week. Lewis has done a nice job. He's done everything you could expect out of a backup starting quarterback who at one point in time was on their practice squad. Jarrett Boykin of the Green Bay Packers. No Randall Cobb. No James Jones. Jermichael Finley gets hurt. All Boykin does is fill in at Randall Cobb's spot and go for over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Harry Douglas, no Julio Jones, no Roddy White. He has 7 catches, 149 yards, and a TD. Finally, Harry Douglas has a huge day. You look at Fred Davis is hurt. He isn't doing anything in Washington. In comes third-round rookie Jordan Reed, who I told you in my fantasy preview video was going to be somebody you should consider picking up and starting because he could have a nice day against Chicago's defense, and he did. He had a huge day, was an integral part of the Redskins' upset victory over the Chicago Bears. And then looking at my Bears, Josh McCown. The bottom line is the Cutler injury, I could sit there and be a jackass about it, but the fact of the matter remains, it's hard to deny that they didn't skip a beat offensively once McCown went in there. They really didn't. It wasn't like Cutler was tearing things up against the Redskins, because he wasn't. McCown did everything you could want out of a backup quarterback, and he had his team in a position to win late in the game. And that's all you could really ask for. So you had some replacements that filled in nicely and stepped up big for their teams in week number 7. Geno's Jets. The bottom line is the New York Jets are hanging around in the AFC East picture and especially in the wild card picture. I really like Geno Smith coming out of West Virginia. I knew he had some flaws and I knew he had some question marks about him. But you go back and watch my draft preview videos when I talked about Geno Smith. I was very high on him. I thought my Bears made a tremendous mistake not drafting Geno Smith, which they especially did now. A lot of teams are going to rue the day, I think, that they passed on Geno Smith. And it's to the benefit of the Jets organization. You really think you're better off with Mark Sanchez as your starting quarterback? Any Jets fan with a pulse believe that now? Fuck no, you're not. Geno Smith might make some boneheaded, dumb rookie decisions, but boy, he can make some big-time plays, both with his arm and his feet. He's given some life to that organization. He's given them a pulse, and he's resuscitated them, and more likely than not, has done enough already to maybe have saved fat-ass Rex Ryan's job for another season in New York. It's that simple. And beating the Patriots, beating Tom Brady, after they played him tough the first time, now the second time around they beat him, hats off to Geno Smith. He's having a fine rookie season. And then, my other highlight. Do the Indianapolis Colts really miss Peyton Manning that much? All the media talk about Peyton and all his greatness and all that he did for Indy and how bad that organization probably still misses him. Do they really miss him that much? I didn't think so. Now we look at some of the lowlights from week number 7. Obviously, all the big injuries around the league, that's definitely a lowlight. You don't like to see anybody get hurt. It's not good. And then you see some of the big-time injuries, like Bradford for the Rams, Cutler for the Bears, Briggs for the Bears, Jermichael Finley, Doug Martin, Brian Cushing. These are some very important injuries to some very big key star players for these teams. These are the type of injuries that could potentially derail and ruin team seasons. So that's got to be a low light. Denver's offense, and I say offense because they play no D in Denver. The bottom line is if the Broncos don't get something figured out soon, they better hang up any real hopes as an organization, as the Bronco fan base, of going and winning a Super Bowl this year. This team reminds me a lot of the 98 Minnesota Vikings and to a lesser degree maybe the 2011 Green Bay Packers. Teams that had tremendous offenses that could score a ton of points, whose defenses were not very good, and then when they get to the playoffs, when they play a team that can run the ball, play good defense, out-physical them, generate a pass rush with their front four, they're fucked. And that's what the Denver Broncos look like this past Sunday. The Colts gave you the formula. They gave you the formula on how to beat Peyton Manning and those Broncos this year. And, the bottom line is you can't be winning championships and be thinking about winning championships if your defense is giving up 30-plus points every game. That's ridiculous. Another low light, Chip Kelly's, league-changing offense. Ooh, the Eagles are now 3-4, and that offense was boo-boo on Sunday. Just boo-boo. It was a bad game, but the Eagles were terrible. So much for Chip Kelly, I guess, coming in and revolutionizing the league with his offense. Ugh. And another low light. Just everything associated with the Vikings-Giants Monday night game. Josh Freeman's horrendous performance. The Giants as a team. Oh, God. That's one of the most painful Monday night games that I've watched in a very long time. That was, to me, the low light of the low light in week number 7. So now looking ahead to week number 8, first thing I look at is, can the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cleveland Browns and go to 8-0 after this week? The Pittsburgh Steelers, after coming out of the gates 0-4, they got that much-needed bye week at the perfect time. They've rattled off 2 wins in a row. Can they win a third one in a row? Can they start to maybe possibly reinsert themselves in the conversation in the AFC wildcard picture? Can teams like the Patriots and Bengals keep pace with the Colts, win their 6th game of the year, go to 6-2, and be on pace with Indy, who right now definitely looks like they could be the number 2 seed in the AFC? Teams like the Patriots and the Bengals need to handle business in week number 8 with the Colts on a bye, because if they lose that 3rd game, they're just giving more ground and more ground to the Colts, a team that probably doesn't need much more ground given to them. So I'm looking forward to week number 8, even though my Bears aren't playing. I still like watching football regardless of the week, and I still always have my fantasy football. Remember, stay tuned for my fantasy football sit-start video for the week, my weekly predictions video, and then I'm sure I might come up with something else football-related as well.